HOA Karen stomped on Grandma's metal. Didn't know my brother's an FBI agent. The neighborhood meeting was supposed to be a dull formality, but Karen's shrill voice sliced through the room like a knife through butter. Your tacky lawn decorations are an eyesore, she barked, jabbing a manicured finger at my grandmother's modest flower bed, where a single war medal hung on a stake, glinting in the sun. By the time she stormed out, leaving Grandma's tears in her wake, I knew this was war. I'm Mia, 28, a graphic designer who moved back to our quiet suburban cul-de-sac to help care for Grandma Rose after her stroke. Her house, a time capsule of 1960s charm, was her pride and joy. So was the medal, a Bronze Star, her late husband, Grandpa Tom, earned in Vietnam. She'd placed it in the garden to honor him, a quiet tribute that never bothered anyone. Well, almost anyone. Karen, the HOA president with a perm as tight as her grip on power, had been itching to control every inch of our street. Her emails about curb appeal violations were relentless. But this time, she'd gone too far. It started innocently enough. Grandma loved her garden, spending hours tending to roses and daisies despite her shaky hands. The metal, polished to a shine, was her way of keeping Grandpa's memory alive. Karen, however, saw it as clutter. At the HOA meeting, held in the community center's stuffy conference room, she'd singled out Grandma's display. "This isn't a military museum," she sneered, her voice dripping with condescension. "That rusty thing lowers property values." The room went silent. Grandma, sitting beside me, gripped my hand, her eyes welling up. I tried to speak, but Karen cut me off, dismissing us with a wave of her hand like we were pesky flies. The next morning, I found Grandma staring out her kitchen window, her face pale. The medal was gone. In its place was a crumpled note in Karen's loopy handwriting: "Removed for non-compliance. Contact HOA for retrieval." My blood boiled. I marched to Karen's pristine McMansion, where she answered the door in a leopard print tracksuit, smirking. "Oh, Mia, it's just a trinket. I did you a favor. It was an eyesore." She refused to return it, claiming it was in storage until we paid a fine. I left empty-handed, her laughter echoing behind me. Days passed, and Grandma's spirit dimmed. She stopped gardening, her hands idle, her stories about Grandpa replaced by silence. I couldn't stand it. I started digging, asking neighbors if they'd seen anything. Most shrugged, too scared of Karen's wrath to speak up. But Mrs. Lopez, the quiet widow next door, whispered a bombshell she'd seen Karen toss the medal into her garage, muttering about teaching Rose a lesson. That was it. I was done playing nice. I called my brother, Ethan, who I hadn't seen in months. He's 32, an FBI agent based in D.R.C., with a no-nonsense edge sharpened by years of dealing with worse than HOA tyrants. When I told him about Karen, his voice went low, the kind of calm that precedes a storm. "I'm coming home this weekend," he said. "Don't do anything yet." I agreed, but the wait was torture. Karen, oblivious, kept strutting around, issuing fines for untrimmed hedges and unauthorized bird feeders. The twist came Friday night, when Ethan arrived along with an unexpected ally, Mrs. Lopez's grandson. Diego, a lanky 19-year-old with a knack for tech, had been eavesdropping on Karen's Ring doorbell feed. Apparently, Karen's security system wasn't so secure. Diego showed us grainy footage of Karen stomping into her garage, the medal in her hand, and my stomach churned, smashing it against the concrete floor. "That'll show her," she'd sneered, kicking the broken pieces into a corner. Diego's footage was gold, but Ethan's eyes narrowed. "This isn't just petty," he said. "She's destroying property with intent. That's a crime." Saturday morning, the neighborhood gathered for an emergency HOA meeting, called by Karen to address ongoing violations. She stood at the podium, basking in her authority, unaware that Ethan and Diego were in the back, whispering. I sat with Grandma, who clutched a faded photo of Grandpa in his uniform, her hands trembling. Karen launched into a tirade about standards, pointing at our house on a projected map. The Wilson property is a disgrace, she declared, her voice smug. That's when Ethan stood up. Karen, he said, his voice cutting through the room like a blade. Mind explaining why you destroyed a Vietnam veteran's Bronze Star? The room gasped. Karen's face froze, her mouth opening and closing like a fish. Ethan held up his phone, playing Diego's footage on a loop. The crowd erupted. Neighbors who'd stayed silent for years now shouted, their pent-up frustration boiling over. Karen stammered. It was an accident, but the lie crumbled as Ethan flashed his FBI badge, his presence commanding silence. He stepped closer, towering over her. You didn't just break a medal, you broke a widow's heart, disrespected a hero, and violated federal laws on stolen valor artifacts. Karen's smugness vanished, replaced by panic. She tried to bolt, but Diego, quick on his feet, blocked the door, his phone still recording. The crowd's murmurs grew louder. Some called for her resignation, others for worse. Grandma, tears streaming, stood shakily. That was my Tom's, she said, her voice soft but piercing. You had no right. Karen's downfall was swift. Ethan didn't arrest her yet, but he filed a report with local police, who were already investigating her for other HOA scams Diego's hacking had uncovered, like misusing funds for her personal landscaping. By Monday, Karen's presidency was revoked, her fines nullified, and her garage searched. The medal, though shattered, was recovered, and I vowed to have it restored, even if it cost my savings. Neighbors rallied, offering to help, their fear of Karen replaced by a newfound unity. Karen moved away a month later, her house sold under a cloud of whispers. Grandma's garden bloomed again, the medal's empty stake a reminder of what we'd fought for. Ethan stayed a week, helping us rebuild, his quiet strength a balm for Grandma's wounds. Diego became a local hero, his tech skills now in demand to keep the new HOA honest. Looking back, I wonder where Karen's bitterness came from. Was it jealousy, control, or just cruelty? I'd love to hear your thoughts. What drives someone to destroy something so sacred? And how should justice balance punishment with redemption? Share below.